What's up, Jagger? How you doing,
Hi,
buddy?
Felix. I'm doing good.
Hi,
Felix.
Hi,
Hi, Austin. Hi, Austin. I want to say thank you very much for having me back on the show. I appreciate it.
It's glad to actually get to talk to you, because last time I was just starting up with Pipebomb Radio and stuff, and I didn't get a chance to talk to you, so it's awesome.
Yes, actually, when I interviewed you last, I believe he was sending me messages to ask you, and I couldn't catch up with him because he was sending me question after question, and I was like, I can't ask him all. Dang it. Okay, we're just gonna have to get Austin on here next time. So here we are.
Awesome.
But on behalf of myself and Austin, we definitely want to thank you, Jagger, for taking some time, and also been spreading the word for our show as well. We do thank you for that.
Not a problem. I love Pipebomb Radio.
We give a piece of our success to you on that, because definitely people are starting to take notice, and we appreciate your help with that as well.
I'm glad.
But we actually last spoke to you in January, and actually would definitely love to hear what's been going on since then. You've been interacting, and if I'm not mistaken, been doing some refereeing for the midget championship wrestling or something like that.
I actually do a lot of stuff for Extreme Midget Wrestling,
nice.
Which is EMW, and I ref a lot of their shows when they're in town, or I travel with them. But on a bigger note, for Hulk Hogan's Extreme Micro Championship Wrestling, Johnny Green actually offered me a job to come work with him. And he doesn't care what I do. He just wants me to come and be a part of the show, no matter what. But for right now, I don't know, because, two midget companies feuding with each other, and they both want Jagger. It's kind of hard.
Hey, well, you love to do what you do, but you know what? I wouldn't want to be put in your position, because I know you like working with both companies. So I know either one you choose, will be a good one.
It's fun. I mean, if anybody out there that's ever worked with midgets or have ever seen a midget show, it is to die for. You will never, ever live that down. They give you one show that you won't ever forget.
Well, I remember that they actually had Hogan's Championship, Midget Championship Wrestling on TV about a couple of years ago, and I really took in, I really enjoyed it. It was so unlike anything you'd ever really see, but that's not a bad thing. That's actually a good thing. It just, you don't see a lot of the things they do on TV where you see it in that show. You know what I mean?
Right now, they're actually working on a progress to bring the show back.
Awesome.
So,
that's awesome. But I know. Go ahead, Austin.
I remember seeing Johnny Green, on the show. He's such a charismatic guy. He's
amazing.
Yeah, he's like larger than life. He's awesome.
I remember that when I was on, Austin had some questions for you, so I'm going to let him fire away with the questions, because I know he had a lot to want to ask you, because he was definitely inspired by your show. He thought it was really good, and he really felt that you had such an inspiring story. So he was definitely glad to have you back, along with me, of course.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I'm a little tired. I've been driving for 13 hours.
Hey, that's not long at all. Just kidding.
Non-stop, though, just the gas.
Well, we're going to start off with the person that trained you, which is Steve Gatorwolf. Tell us a little about how what it was like training with him.
It was actually one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my life. I mean, most people turn around and they hop into a wrestling school nowadays, and they actually get a hop in the ring. Me, on the other hand, I had to learn everything outside the ring before I could even get into the ring.
That's actually a better experience, if you ask me.
It was a lot better experience, because I got to learn the basics, how to treat everybody with respect. Unlike a lot of guys nowadays, where they don't even care about the business and they're doing it for themselves and thinking it's all about the money. And it's not about the money. It's about bringing people to the show and putting a smile on their face. Just like HBK said, and just like Johnny Green has told me, and like my midgets have told me several times.
Well, it's like with Headbanger Thrasher. He was trained by what is the place called? Felix, back me up on here. What is that?
Oh, you're asking the wrong guy, man. My memory is almost as bad as me.
I can't.
But he was trained. Don't quote me on this. But anyways, I'll let you ask the question.
Well, yeah, he was trained. I can't remember. Well, anyway, he was trained at a place where they taught him the old school way, and the same thing with Jesse Neal. He was trained by Bully Ray and Devon Team 3D, and that's how they're bringing up their people, and wrestlers treat him how to respect everybody.
The old school way should be taught at every school, but a lot of companies don't even do that anymore. I mean, like with Gator, he taught me so much, and it was crazy because he brought in guys that I didn't even know of, and there was a guy named James Iona that used to wrestle in WWF years ago as well, television and everything like that. And then he brought in like CC Star, Mike Knox, Hollywood Yucks, and like the craziest thing is he even had Navajo Warrior, which is now the video game creator for WWE. But the one guy, I never even knew who he was until 6 months later that I saw him on TV, was John Cena.
That is insane.
And it was the first show I've ever worked in my career. It was the first show. It was a squash match. But I actually got to hang out and train with John Cena for 6 weeks while he was in Utah and everything like that.
Do you think that fame has changed him in any way?
I met him again not too long ago at a house show. Like, he was walking back from the back, and he noticed who I was, and he was like, "You're one of Gator's students." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Hope all is still going well, and hopefully you're still wrestling." But when I met him, he seems like he's still the same person. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that he's changed, but I've also heard a lot of people say that he hasn't.
I've heard that as well. But have you actually gotten to, I mean, you've been to a couple of the house shows just recently, because I've actually seen some of your pictures that you've done, you've taken with, have you actually gotten to take part in some of maybe their dark matches or anything, or you actually just got in as a fan?
I haven't yet. I've just been in there as a fan so far, but I would love to do some dark matches if I ever got the chance. My only dark matches that I do is hang out with midgets and do the stuff on the
That's not a bad thing, though. That's not a bad thing. That actually can be fun, from what I've heard, anyway.
And I was actually, I remember
you do have quite the following, man. I can tell you that much.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of people tell me all the time, they're like, "I don't know what it is about you, but you got a great following." And I was like, well, to me, I've learned from other guys to be real. Always let your fans know that you're interested. Always show them that you care. Be there for them and let them be there for you. I mean, there's things that I've stooped down to the point where I almost walked out of this business, because I did 2 years ago. And I didn't want to come back. But I had fans asking me and begging me to come back. And I did.
Well, I think what people enjoy about you is the fact that you've got heart, and it shows. You take pride in interacting with your fans. You take pride in just knowing that they appreciate what you do, and the fact that they are entertained by what you do, and they like that. But
I just love that a lot of people are loyal, and they'll always stay loyal. And see everybody's true colors on.
Well, it's like you said, the wrestling business it changes a lot of people, and it's not always for the better. And sometimes, like you said, people get in it for the wrong reasons. Nowadays, it's very different than it was, say, 20 years ago. As to getting into the business, because it was kept very hush hush. If you had to get in, you had to really pay your dues. Now, any Tom, Dick, or Harry off the street can come out there and say, "Ooh, I seen WWE in town. I want to be a wrestler. I think I'm going to do it."
Like my buddy Nasty Boy. I mean, he's a midget and everything. we were going down to Idaho to go do a show, and he turns around and goes, everybody can just walk in here nowadays and say that they're a wrestler. And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, I could walk into a building tomorrow and say I'm a wrestler and they'd believe me because I Googled everything online. And pretty much he was right. Anybody can do it.
I was actually remembering. Remembered what the school the headbanger went to. It's Monster Factory, and I don't know if you heard of it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's what it is, and it trained people like some of the things some people, notable people that they actually trained, like, headbanger and Thrasher of course, and a couple others. I don't know why I can't remember these, but they teach you how to the old school way, and like what you were saying, you were trained the old school way. How to respect others more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, the Monster actually messaged me and we communicated a few times back in the day on Facebook, and they were telling me that I had heart and passion, and whoever taught me about the business to always stay loyal because people would notice that. And like a lot of the midgets tell me that too. Like the guys that are not midgets, full-size guys that wrestle and everything, they turn around and they'll just dog me out like they don't even want me in this business.
Well, I think that motivates people to want to actually excel even further, just to shut up, just to shut up your haters, Because haters motivate you, and it's just like the Miz says, he likes his haters, he loves his haters. Do you keep up with the current wrestling product right now with TNA and WWE and even Ring of Honor? Ring of Honor, they do some good shows. TCW do good shows. And I think even, if I'm not mistaken, you even traveled to Texas, or was it Texas recently?
Yeah, I went down to Texas, but it was for a business thing that I'm
sorry. I thought it was a wrestling show. I apologize.
It was, but I can't say about it right now because I'm trying to. It was a hush-hush deal with a company, and I need to figure out if I'm getting signed to the company yet. So,
very cool.
But we were discussing about the company not too long ago. Hint, hint.
Not sure.
Hey, you never know. We may have some news later on down the line. We may have to bring in. All I can say is keep us updated. If we hear anything, we will definitely love to hear more about it later down the line. If anything occurs from that,
we'll do. I would love to discuss it, but I was.
No, it's okay. Trust me, we respect that, and it's better to keep it quiet. So, gotta respect people's privacy in that instance, and we do. But as far as keeping up with the product, though, do you keep up with it on your days off, if you have any days off, that is?
Yeah, I actually watch Raw every Monday, and I watch TNA. I try to watch SmackDown when I can, but it's like an off and on thing. And then ROH, I watch it later on during the night.
Yeah, in most cases you can always catch a rerun on a website somewhere. Like for SmackDown, you can watch it on a certain website, streaming later in the evening, or even Ring of Honor, or even NXT, or any other shows, I think. Because I know one of our prior guests, he's a TCW superstar, a good buddy of Austin's, Scott Phoenix, actually. So yeah, there's many ways to keep up with everything, so that's awesome.
The crazy thing is about Ring of Honor, and like Ring of Honor, I give them props. I've never seen them talk during their matches or, do anything that was not supposed to be in the match. But like
they keep it old school.
TNA and WWE, with TNA and WWE, I see so many mistakes.
And you know what? You being a pro wrestler, you watch for these things and you see them. We, as a casual fan, we may not notice something that you may notice, and I think that's a good thing because you can actually see what they're doing, and maybe if I were them, I would have done it this way. And you can say that because you're in the business. You see all these dirt sheets actually saying about how this is just ridiculous, and why are they doing that? And they're nobody to criticize because we're just fans. You know what I'm
saying?
I
was watching TNA with Bubba Ray and Jeff Hardy, and where Jeff Hardy threw him in, and he just walks to the corner, sits to the corner, then turns around, bumps, and then positions the ladder so Jeff Hardy can kick him. I was like, what?
Definitely remember that actually happening. It wasn't that ladder match. I think it was like last month with.
It was last
live.
Month.
Yeah, it was a live TV episode. I was just like, wow.
Because they went back to recording it and just showing it over the next couple of weeks. So.
You're talking about Ring of Honor. I actually have not. I mean, this is my opinion. I don't think I've ever seen a bad Ring of Honor show because they have never failed to entertain.
Yeah, I've never seen a bad Ring of Honor show either. Like, they're always keeping up with everything. Plus, they're loyal with their fans. They always do meet and greets. They always interact with their fans no matter what. That's what I love about Ring of Honor.
And I think that's what WWE has noticed, and that's why they've been watching their stars there, you know, which is recently signing, well, I don't know if I should call him his old name or his new name, but El Generico, Sami Zayn, you know, and who else did they recently sign? Austin, help me out here.
Actually, there's Seth Rollins from ROH.
Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, CM Punk.
Daniel Bryan. Claudio Castagnoli, Antonio Cesaro, you know, ROH produces so many awesome talents, and they have so many, like, in right now, and you can just notice that when you watch their shows that they're so talented at what they do. And it's no disrespect to anybody else, like any other company, but Ring of Honor, in my opinion, is the best wrestling company in the entire world.
Emphasis on the wrestling.
Ring of Honor actually gives back to their fans, like I was saying. I mean, like with TNA, you have to purchase a VIP pass to go meet the guys and everything like that. And with WWE, they've now started doing that and everything like that. But I mean,
they're more of entertainment than wrestling. They've said that many times. Same thing with TNA has tried to stick with wrestling, but they kind of turn to the entertainment value sometimes as well.
Mhm.
But the other Ring of Honor actually sticks to wrestling. They're not so much entertainment, but they are. But they don't stick to the Hollywood portion of it, where they have to cut these weird promos and these weird storylines. And I mean, they got their stories, but it's not taking up TV time so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, they do everything old school.
But I actually got a question for you, sir. I want to ask you, since how long have you been in the in the wrestling business? How long have you been in it?
I started in 2000. Like I said, my first ever show was with Steve Yetterwolf. They used to call me Hoovy because I looked like Juventud Guerrera. So they tried to get me to become a pro wrestler several times. And
so
I
where do you see yourself in like 10 years?
I'm hoping one day to actually make it, but if I don't, I've actually realized that I have more fun on the indie circuit right now, that I'm having a blast doing it. So this is my WWE. This is my TNA. This is my ROH. And if I never make it, at least I gave back to the fans and changed somebody's life. And
you do. Really?
You know, you sound like a wrestler. I don't know if you know who he is, but his name is Johnny Gargano, and he wrestles for like Dragon Gate, just places around the United States. And WWE offered him a deal to go into, to developmental and sign with them, and he didn't take it because he said that he wanted independent wrestling is what he wanted to do with the rest of his life, and he didn't take WWE's deal. And he's been offered by TNA and stuff like that, and he didn't take it either. And that's what's really good about him, that he loves what he's doing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Several wrestlers are actually like that too.
You get to spend more time with your family. You get to actually interact more with the fans, and it's not like you never get to give back because, like, when you're big, you're under contract, and they're telling you got to do this, you got to be here. You're so limited to everything. But when you're an independent, you have all rights to go out and entertain and just give back to everyone.
That is very true. And that's what people really love to do the most. And, just a quick note for fans listening in tonight, if you guys have a question for Mr. Jagger Lane, what's the number, Austin, so they can call in?
It is 1-347-202-0399.
And we definitely got to give credit to our good buddy here, Jagger, because he's been promoting the hell out of the show, and we definitely appreciate that.
I know.
Yeah,
we appreciate it more than you could ever know, sir.
Are you talking about me, or are you talking about Austin? Because I was saying Austin promotes like crazy.
You both do a phenomenal job. I may have created the show, but I don't think I could have ever gotten this far without Austin as my good friend and good partner in this. I'm glad I decided to bring him in.
Thank you.
And without supporters like you, sir, thank you so much. Thank you both.
You're welcome. I mean, like I said, let me know when the shows are, and I'll plug them all the time.
You've done a great job at that. I mean, we definitely wanted. Austin and I had talked about it for a while because it was roughly right after I had you on, around that time in late January, that I had brought him on, and I did always think about bringing you back on. I didn't know if I was going to do it either this summer or later this year, but I know that Austin had lots of questions to ask you because him being a young man and wanting to, aspire to be, he's aspiring to be in the business and wanting to learn, and he's gotten to speak with some of the greatest, whether it be independent or wrestling legends like Black Jack Mulligan or even Bruno Sammartino about what it was like in the business and what it would be, what he would need to do. And I think all these things he's taken with him, he's definitely, let's just say he's learning from the best.
No doubt. And I couldn't...
that's one thing you can do is always learn. In this business, you never stop learning. So what they're telling you is everything that they've been through and everything they've had in this business. And, I mean, they're trying to tell you to better it because now it's your ladder.
And, what's funny about all that, and what's funny about the people that give me advice is they have no idea, have no clue how much it means to me. Like, I can just tell you, it means a lot to me, but truly don't know how much it does. And really appreciate every single person, every legend, wrestler, and you, Jagger, who actually given me advice.
Well, I appreciate giving you advice, and you actually listening and paying attention. I mean, it's an honor. Thank you.
No problem, man.
We definitely, without the fans, I know wrestling wouldn't be where it is, and I know that some people would prefer to be on the indies, and some would prefer to make it to the pros, or some would prefer to be in the indies and then make it to the pros. No matter what, though, without the fans, I know the wrestling wouldn't be where it is today. And I know that with wrestlers like you, sir, I know that you take pride in what you do, and you appreciate your fans. And there's very few people that actually do actually show heart, and you do. As I said, you're a hell of a guy, and I think people notice that. But I tell you what, I know that we've been actually mentioning about people who want to call in and say hello to you. We've got a couple of callers here that have been waiting patiently for a little bit, and I think I definitely want to bring them on if you're okay with it.
Oh, it's fine.
All right, let's try first caller. Here we go. All right, you're on the line with wrestling superstar Jagger Lane. Did you have a question for him?
I saw something on Facebook where he was having people vote for him on WrestleCade Idol, and I started reading on the site after I voted for you, of course. And it's talking about you could wrestle somebody from WWE or TNA and stuff. Just out of curiosity, if you could choose anybody out of those two companies to wrestle, who would it be?
That's a great question.
That is a tough question.
Sorry.
Right now, my biggest influence, and always has been, is Shawn Michaels.
Well, that would be an epic match if he came out of retirement. Yeah.
I would totally love to watch that.
That would be awesome. Did you have any other questions for Jagger?
No, just good luck on the hush-hush business in Texas or whatever. You know, good luck on all that you got going for you.
That's awesome. Did you want to hang on and listen in, or did you want to listen to the rest? Because we have it available on demand after the show as well.
I want to stay on and listen to the rest.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your call. I'm going to go ahead and put you back on hold.
All right.
Alrighty. Next caller is actually from your area there, sir. Wow. Let's go ahead and bring on this caller. Hello, caller. You're on the air with wrestling superstar Jagger Lane. Did you have a question for him?
Hello. Hi. I just wanted to say that a lot of people in Utah really care about you and really support you in everything you do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did you have a question for him at all?
How's Oregon?
It's very hot.
Is it?
I got 2 more hours.
Oh, nice. No, that's pretty much it.
Not a problem. Did you want to hang tight and listen in, or did you want to listen on demand later tonight?
I'll listen in. Why not?
All righty. Appreciate you listening in, and thank you for your call.
Yes, bye, Scott.
Bye.
Well, that was nice. 2 very loving fans, very caring fans that appreciate what you do, and that was a really good question. I'm surprised neither Austin or I thought about that one about if you could wrestle either one, who would you wrestle? That's a good question.
Yeah, I just barely found out about WrestleCade like about a week ago, and I saw it online, and I was like, I wonder if I could actually sign up for this. So I signed up on it, and I mean, within 2 days, I got over 24 votes.
I mean, I've been voting.
Everyone can go on Facebook or Twitter and vote for me on it if they want to.
Now, is this
if
actually
not, there is a lot of
like
other...
a wrestling company, or?
Yeah,
what is
actually
WrestleCade exactly?
From what I read up on it was they're doing a show, like a fundraiser show, and it's supposed to be huge, and they're giving the opportunity of the guy that wins a $500 pay, which I really don't care because I'm just going to give it to the charity that they're doing the charity for if I do win. And then also the chance to wrestle any wrestler from either TNA, ROH, WWE, anyone that's ever been in the business.
That's awesome. Now, going back to that question, I actually wanted to kind of go in a different direction, but very similar to the question she'd asked. If, let's just say, put it 5 years down the line, and you make it to either of the companies we mentioned, Ring of Honor, TNA, WWE, if you could choose a manager, past or present, that you feel that would suit your character, who would you want to walk down the aisle with you? And why?
The guy that influenced me a lot was Paul Bearer. God rest his soul. I mean, he actually drew me to wrestling. I mean, like Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty got me hooked on it, but I was always wanting to know what Paul Bearer was going to do next. And he always came up with different spots that would just blow the industry out of the water.
That's true. That is very true. And did you ever watch any of his work from Dallas?
I never have. I mean, I just barely started catching up on a lot of stuff.
Yeah, because we definitely, I don't know if you got a chance to listen into our tribute show we did when we had his son Daniel on, but we listened to some great clips of his career and moments when he was in the wrestling and so forth. But if you ever get a chance to, I recommend looking at some of the stuff from Dallas when he represented some guys like Rick Rude and the Missing Link. At one point, I believe he even managed him. And guys like Matt Bourne, may he rest in peace, and Buzz Sawyer, him as well. Yeah, definitely some good work to look back on. you want to talk about classic managers, I mean, putting aside my feelings about Bobby Heenan, as he obviously is my all-time favorite, but Paul Bearer would be a very close second.
Bobby Heenan was one of the top guys out there. I mean, he made Mr. Perfect a legend.
Absolutely.
I mean, the crazy thing is, I can't even, go out to the ring if I don't have bubble gum in my mouth because of Mr. Perfect.
Funny.
And I always do the, I don't even remember what the move's called, but where Mr. Perfect does the neck breaker.
I know what you're talking about because I see his son do it sometimes too.
I do it all the time as tribute for him because he was a big influence, and I mean, I look up to him as well.
He was definitely one of the best, and a man who is sorely missed in the wrestling industry because I believe he could teach these guys, these young kids nowadays, a lot, and he could be such a great help for his son as well. But definitely a great wrestling legend, and I think that even if we ever got a chance to see a match between you and him, if it ever could have happened, I think it would have been a great match as well.
I would have loved that.
You know,
no idea.
What's that, Austin?
So we're talking about all these managers and stuff like that, but I want to ask you a question, Jagger. Are you a Paul Heyman guy? You have to mention him.
I have a lot of respect for Paul Heyman. He's brought in guys into the business that have changed the business to a new level. I mean, CM Punk, for instance, Brock Lesnar. You know, he's done so much. And, I mean, if it wasn't for him, ECW wouldn't have been around, where we have so many legends and so many guys that are in the business still today, working, whether it's in the indie scene or whether it's on television right now.
Very true.
So, yes, I am a Paul Heyman guy.
It's awesome because, I mean, what's so unique about Paul Heyman that I can't really say that any other manager did is that every single person that he managed was a champion. And
that's true.
so and you can look in the history books and stuff like that, and you'll see the superstars he managed. All of them had won championships and were famous. So, and big in professional wrestling. So, I mean, Paul Heyman. I don't see why anybody doesn't want to be a Paul Heyman guy.
I don't think anybody that I don't know that doesn't have respect for the man because, like you said, I mean, going back to his days in WCW, ECW, WWE before he left the first time, even now, with Curtis Axel, I like the combination because it's fresh, it's new, and he's somebody who is going to be somebody to reckon with for the next 10 years or so, so keep an eye out for him, definitely.
His character so well. The one thing I have more respect for Curtis Axel, I mean, the first time I saw him, I was like, who's this guy? And then when he came out and paid tribute to his dad to actually come out to his dad's music as well and mix it around, I was like, I have a lot of respect for you.
Absolutely. You know what? We do have another caller calling in. You up for another call, sir?
Yeah.
All righty. Let's rock and roll. And actually, Austin, if I'm not mistaken, it's from your neck of the woods.
That's interesting.
Let's take a look. Hello, you're on the air with wrestling superstar Jagger Lane. Did you have a question for him? Hello? Did you have a question for Jagger Lane?
Hello?
Hello?
Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah, I realized I was on the air.
How are you? We couldn't hear you for a second there. Did you have a question for him?
Yeah, I do. In terms of, you've been in the business for a while now. Have you ever thought of going bigger? Have you ever thought of going to the star promotion, I guess you would call it, in terms of WWE, TNA, one of those? Have you ever had a plan of maybe pursuing that?
I would love to if I ever got the opportunity. I mean, I got offered to turn heel, and I refused it because I don't think that me turning heel was right at the moment. And then on top of it, I wouldn't screw my fans that way. And especially with the guy that they wanted me to turn heel with and turn actually into tag champs. So I refused all that.
That was really the main question I had for you.
All right. Did you want to stick around and listen online or on the phone right now while I put you back on hold, or did you want to listen later tonight? We'll have it available on demand later tonight.
It was great talking with you.
All right. I'll go ahead and put him back on hold. That's cool because we've got a few people that we've talked to already that are listening in as well. So we thank them for listening in. And like we said, you got a following. You don't need WWE and TNA. You got your following already. They need you. You don't need them.
Even if I don't ever make it, to WWE or TNA, I still have the midget company.
Exactly.
So either way, I'm set because both companies want me so badly that they're willing to do whatever it takes. And they have a rivalry where if I talk to the other company,
just kidding.
Yeah, if I talk to the other company, they get upset, or if I talk to the other guys, they get upset, and it's like I didn't know that midget wrestling was kind of like our size wrestling because I didn't think they'd take it that far. But me being around the midgets and me being around the industry, I've known that there's more with midget wrestling, and I love doing it, whether I'm a ref or whether I'm taking bumps with them and actually doing spots with them and actually getting put in moves and getting slammed or training them. I have a blast with them every time they're in town. And if that's what I would end up choosing for the rest of my life, I would end up doing it.
Well, what would you regret if you didn't go? No, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
What would you regret if you actually didn't get to go to WWE or TNA? Did you have any regrets?
I would love to because for my dad, he paved the way for me to do this. Gator Wolf opened his door for me when I came into his building homeless, and they got me off narcotics, like I said last show, and I've been clean ever since. And they got me from being homeless, and they took care of me to the point where they gave me the chance to live my dream. My dad believed in me so much that he sold his house and lost it for me to actually have the opportunity so I can wrestle. And Gatorwith actually gave me the opportunity and let me do whatever it took to train me.
That's
so
awesome.
If I never made it, I wouldn't regret one bit because I have a blast doing what I'm doing now.
Now,
and it's for all the people around that have actually influenced me and changed my life, because without them, I wouldn't be who I am today.
That's true.
So I
That's
thank
actually
them.
Good words right there. Very wise words to share. But being in the business as long as you have been, I'm sure you've actually gotten your share to work with some of the great legends in the business. Was there ever one that you actually got to meet that you kind of just didn't really know what to say, but you were respectful, but you kind of looked up and like, you were kind of at a loss for words almost. It's kind of like, you didn't mark out, but you did, kind of, so to speak. I don't want to say it like that, but really, no other word for it.
I actually did mark out, though. But it was actually Mike Knox. The dude always gave me advice. He would take the time out of his busy schedule, and he'd call me to check up on me and let me know how things were. And he knew what kind of rough life I was going through, and he did whatever it took to keep me in the business. And when I told him that I was leaving, he pretty much didn't want me to go, but I left. I mean, I walked out of the business for 2 years, almost 3, because I didn't want to even attempt to come back. And then I went to a WWE house show, and those fans there asking, "Are you a wrestler? I remember you wrestling." Now, I avoided the question as much as possible. I ended up getting dragged to a show, and I ended up starting working for a company, and ever since then, I've been back. And like I said last show, I was going to do whatever it took to thank my dad and prove everybody wrong and say, look, I can actually do this, and I'm not going to take any more of your crap.
And you've done that. You've definitely surpassed the expectations. I'm sure that most people thought you probably wouldn't make it. And you know what? They say you haven't made it till you made it to WWE. That's not necessarily true. Like you said, even if you don't ever make it, even if you do, you're happy and you're content because you've had a great career. Really, I mean, truly said, I mean, honestly, from what we've talked about in the last 2 conversations we had, you've had a great career. You've inspired so many people, and you have a good following, and that says a lot.
And a lot of people have told me, I mean, there's a guy from Arizona, and his name is CC Star. He used to do a lot of stuff for WWF back in the day as well. And he actually told me, you ain't a wrestler until you actually get paid. And I was like, wow. It's always about the money. And he's like, no, it's not about the money. But when you actually have passion and love for the business, then it's a different story. And he actually saw that and he realized. But like he tells me all the time, because I talk to him off and on, there's guys out there that would give him crap about wrestling and everything like that. And he was like, well, I've been in the business and I'm doing shows all over and I'm getting paid and I'm a pro wrestler. What are you? They're like, I'm pro wrestler. And he goes, no, you do a show once a month and you don't get paid. You're not a pro wrestler. I mean, there's a lot of guys out there that call themselves pro wrestlers. But in this business, you ain't a wrestler until you've actually been paid in this business and paid your dues. Exactly.
You said it right there. And it's not about the money, because when you mentioned that, it took me back to a story that Bobby had talked about at his Hall of Fame speech in 2004, that when he got started into the business and he was doing things like managing, he was setting up the ring, he was refereeing and whatever, and all through that he was and he only made just what I think he said. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this. He made like $3.
Yeah, I saw it on Netflix, and those days that he didn't even make anything. He was doing it,
and he did it because he loved
the business and he believed in it.
Exactly.
And
that's why I
feel
that there's a big difference between now and then, and that's a shame.
I mean, most people
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
You're fine. Most people think about it like, there's a couple of companies that I've actually seen, and they're like, well, if you don't get paid, you're not a wrestler. If you don't get paid, there's no point on wrestling. And it's like, it's not about the money. Everybody in this business has another job when they ain't wrestling.
That's actually true.
You can't survive off of wrestling unless you're in the big companies.
Mm-hmm. Now, being that you were a part of Hogan's Midget Championship Wrestling, did you actually get to meet Hogan?
I have never met Hogan yet. Like I said, I got offered the opportunity, and it's still in the works right now.
Awesome.
But I've also got offered the opportunity with Extreme, and that's in the works as well. And I'm not going to mention which one. Yeah, I'm not going to mention which side I'm going to go to, because I have love for both of them, but it will be a surprise. Let's put it that way.
Look forward to that announcement, bud. But we were mentioning all that you had done as well, and I was going back to a question I wanted to ask you. If you were offered an opportunity, if you haven't already done it, and I'm not sure if you've mentioned it or not, if you got a chance to work maybe as commentary, because I'm sure some wrestling shows have commentators or some don't, I don't know exactly. Would you ever take an opportunity to try to learn that, or have you learned that?
I've done it a couple of times. I mean, it's not bad, but being a wrestler, you actually get that. You get the adrenaline rush running through your body every time there's a bump or something going on in the ring, and you just want to jump in there. So
no, that's true. That's true, because I know what I was referring to in that instance is because with the commentators, they help kind of build the superstar, so to speak. They help kind of put the guy over, put the girl over, you know. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like with Jim Ross, how he did with his commentary. I like to think that Steve Austin wouldn't have got over as big if it hadn't been for a lot of the commentary by Jim Ross. Not taking anything away from Steve, because he's probably one of the greatest of all time. No, some would definitely say that.
You are right on that. And I did meet Jim Ross not too long ago, and
I was going to get to that too.
And he's done a lot. I mean, I talked to him about Hogan's Micro. I talked to him about Extreme and everything like that, and he goes, you have a future with these guys, kid. I mean, what you're doing right now is great, but if I were you, I would take one of them and leave what you're doing right now. And I mean, he gave me a lot of advice on that.
He's actually a great storyteller. If you can ever get down there and just sit down and pick Jim Ross's brain, I'm telling you, you'd probably get loaded with so much information you wouldn't even know what to do with. You'd be like a kid in a candy store, be sitting there. Well, not necessarily a candy store, but you get my point. You get to sit down there and just be like listening to somebody tell you some great stories. He'd be one of those great storytellers.
Well, I got to talk to him for a good 20 minutes, and it blew my mind.
I bet you didn't want to leave, did you?
On what we actually... No, I did not want to leave. So, like, Daniel Bryan just sat there, and he's like, when I met him...
Yes, you got to meet him, too.
He's like, you're a worker. And I was like, how do you know I'm a worker? He goes, trust me, I know a worker when I see a worker. He goes, not many guys are big. I was like, thanks. He goes, one day, I hope to see you in this business. I was like, thank you.
That's nice. He's always seemed like such a really respectful young guy. He's not even really that young, but I mean, he's a respectful guy.
I mean, it's like R-Truth. Every time he's in town, he always comes out to mingle with the fans no matter what.
He does seem that type. He seems like he's such a really fun guy, too. Did you have any other questions for Jagger, Austin?
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Well, in independent wrestling, you usually have like a group of people you travel with from show to show. Do you have anybody that you travel with, or is it just you?
I've traveled with a few guys before, but to me, I'd rather do it individually unless they're midgets. I mean, if I travel with midgets, I'm set because I get to know more about the business. I mean, if you ever want to know something, Austin, talk to a midget. A midget will tell you more about this business than you would ever know.
There you go, Austin. There's some good advice right there, pal.
And blow your mind.
Yeah, I know one of the MCW shows came to Houma, Louisiana. I think it was like last year. But the thing is, the day that it was on, no, it was the day after it was on, I found out about it from going to an FYE and seeing the advertisement poster. And I was disappointed because I wanted to go to see him because I was watching him on TV, the whole entire, few months back before that event happened. But I hope they come back soon, and I hope I get to see one. Be interesting.
No, I know that they travel quite a bit, but they don't do that many shows. But I know they're actually working on. I know they're actually working on coming back to TV, and I know that they're actually working on doing a longer tour.
That's cool.
Because, like I said, me and Johnny Green talk quite a bit off and on. It's crazy actually getting voicemails from him when you're out of town or a text message, and he's calling you a superstar and all kinds of other stuff, and it just blows your mind. I mean, the first time I ever talked to him, I was like so nervous that I couldn't even believe I was talking to him. And I've never been that nervous to ever talk to anybody.
Well, Johnny has such a larger-than-life personality. It would be, nervous talking to him, too, because just his voice is so, my God, it's like...
It's amazing.
Has there actually ever been, well, I think you mentioned it already, you've gotten to meet so many great people and, get to maybe chat with them for just a little bit. Is there anybody in particular that you actually enjoy talking to probably the most out of all of them?
He just barely passed away not too long ago, and he did a show with Superfly Jimmy Snuka, and it was blown away, all the stuff that I learned from him.
Who was that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name.
Third show ever would be Doink the Clown.
The original Doink.
The original Doink. It blew my mind. I mean, I learned so much knowledge from him, and I mean, it was doing security.
He would be the one. You got those legends in there that have been around the business. It's definitely good to pick their brains if you get the chance. And Matt Bourne, may he rest in peace, is definitely somebody you could definitely pick the brain from and know what it was like during his time and offer advice as far as what you could do in for you. And now,
right now I pick Chris Masters' brain because I've overheard this, but I don't know if it's confirmed yet. But I heard Chris Masters actually owns part of our company.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's a man that's traveled around the world and has made some good money.
He's actually our world champ right now and everything like that. And every time he's in town, I pick his brain.
He seems like really a nice guy, and
he's a gentle person.
I actually have to bring up a comment because I remember I just finished reading Hardcore Holly's book, and if you haven't read that book yet, I highly encourage it because if you ever wanted to meet somebody who would give you the brutal truth about the wrestling business during his time, he's a guy that you want to listen. You want to read the book because you'll never want to stop reading it. But my point is about that.
Train
with. He is old school trained, and he likes it that way. And he's as brutal as they come, and he can take it just as much as he can give it.
I agree.
But my point was with that is that he talked about Chris Masters in the book, and he talked about how good he was, but the fact that I won't mention any names, but I'll let you read it in the book, that some glory hounds really didn't like him and were quick to bury him. And it was a shame because he could really work. I mean, he had a good future in the WWE. He had the look. His character could be developed a lot better than it did.
It's like with David Otunga. I mean, they buried him. Evan Bourne, they buried him. I
highly recommend that because you'll get to see exactly.
I'm going to have to check it out.
It's a brutal truth. If you've ever met Bob Holly,
John Morrison.
Yes,
they buried
him.
Right
there. And it'll tell you more about who I was speaking of because I don't want to come out in the air and say it. I don't want to get in trouble. I'll just tell you to read the book.
I will definitely have to check it out. And
Austin, I recommend you read it too, buddy.
I will message you about that surprise thing that we were talking about.
I think you know where I'm going with that, but we won't mention any names on the air.
I agree.
But another book I want to mention as well. I have to throw it out because she's a good friend, and if you haven't got a chance to read it, I recommend it. It's Julie Hart's book, Heartstrings. She did a good job for her first book she's ever done. It was actually well written, I thought. But I'm just throwing it out there for you guys. If you guys ever get a chance to read either book.
But I was going to ask you, have you ever seen a movie called Sting's Moment of Truth? is a big influence in the wrestling business.
The Moment of Truth, is that what it's called?
Sting's Moment of Truth.
Oh, I'm sorry, Sting's Moment of Truth. I don't think I have it. I'll have to check that out.
I actually have seen that. I wasn't on DVD. I've seen it online somewhere, and it was a very interesting film of how Sting, because Sting he wasn't really a fan of wrestling. He basically, at first, he wasn't a fan of wrestling. And the first time he put on a pair of boots and wrestled in a match just to, try it out, he loved it. Got bit by the wrestling bug, like people say.
Nobody wanted him in the business, and he did whatever it took to show them.
And what a career that man's had. He's another person
still
that
goes
ever
on.
sit down. And exactly, a man's 54 years old, and he definitely performs a lot better than a lot of the young talent. And that's not saying that's a bad thing, because they're still young in their careers, but he's definitely somebody they could learn from.
I agree.
And that's where I was going at with you, is that I know I was always curious. And now you've worked with quite a different amount of wrestling companies, both as a performer and as a referee. Have any of the guys or girls come up to you and ask for advice about maybe have you critiqued their match, or even advice about how to do certain things in the ring, or anything in particular?
I've never had any of the older guys do it to me. But a lot of the midgets that I work with have actually done it several times. And I've actually got to train them, bump with them in a 12x12 ring, and just teach them so much. It's another thing that they want me to do is be their trainer, because I have so much knowledge, and I'm such a great referee, apparently. They text me and call me all the time, and they're like, "We missed our Jagger. We need our Jagger."
Shout out to the midgets, both companies. But that's cool, man. And that shows that you're. It's like Jim Ross said. You got a future with either company that you'd ever decide to choose to go with, and whichever one is going to be lucky to have you.
I've been told several times midgets can take you somewhere where you've never, ever been in your life.
I would love to go to a live show, that's for sure. I wish I didn't live out here where they didn't do too many of those. I would love to travel to one of them shows out there.
I went out to a show, and I went to go watch them, and they had canceled their show. And my buddy Nasty Boy, he played Mini Batista on WrestleMania, I do believe. But he played Mini Batista. And I would turn around and I was like, "Nasty Boy." And he's like, "Jagger?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I was like, and he turns around and goes, "What are you doing here? You got a show tomorrow. Go back to Utah." And their show got canceled. And they ended up calling me, and they're like, "So I was curious, we wanted to come check out your show." I was like, "All right, well, here's the address." About 5 minutes right when we go on, they walk in the building. The crowd goes nuts. And they're like, "Do you want a tag team partner?" We changed up our match and did a next match.
That must have been an interesting scene. See a bunch of midgets walk through, unannounced.
It was amazing. Working with them and seeing them just helping out me and being there for me and giving back after I've given back to them just shows me so much, because they have more loyalty than anybody in this business, adult size-wise. Not saying that they're not adult size, and they always criticize me for that too. Where I was like, I'm careful with my words when I talk to them about size and everything, but they know so much, and they're always so popular to ever watch, and they can teach you more in this business than anybody, because everybody is always drawn to midgets. Midgets sell.
It's something to watch. But you know, actually, my final question I want to ask you is, I noticed that you had your action figure. I wanted to ask you, if you ever got the opportunity to be put in a video game, what are your thoughts about that?
I think that would be really cool. I did get offered, but that's on the hush-hush right now.
Uh-oh.
Until more details.
Okay. Awesome deal. Like I said, we look forward to that announcement, and it would be cool, because definitely, I've seen your action figure, because I know that I happened to go onto the website where I believe I've seen yours and Martin Casales' action figures. And he's doing a hell of a job already as well. And same thing with A.J. Kirsch. I mean, I don't know if you ever keep up with him as well. He just recently had an interview with Larry King.
I did watch that.
I thought that was amazing.
So interesting.
It really was amazing to hear what he had to say, because he spoke a lot of truth. And that's just my opinion, and I'm entitled to it. But
and I mean, he had a video for Gut Check, and he spoke the truth about Gut Check.
He does such a great job with promos. I don't think anybody can deny that. It would be nice if they took notice of him as well, but you know, it's just the same. It's better off. You guys are doing better off without the big companies. So yeah, and I know that you're definitely proud of how far you've come, and you can only continue to keep going up.
I mean, I met him not too long ago when he came down, and very humble guy. Learned a lot from him and everything like that.
I'm definitely sure he's a hell of a guy. But I wanted to mention one more thing is where if the fans want to keep continuing to follow you, you do have a Facebook? Do you have a Twitter or an Instagram or anything like that?
I deleted my Twitter because I was having problems with it, but I do have an Instagram where I put up a lot of photos, and I have a Facebook. Also, I have a YouTube. They're all under Jagger Lane. And then also, right now until September, I do believe, or November, vote for me on WrestleCage.
I was just going to mention that. We want to throw that shout out there for the WrestleCade. Vote for our boy Jagger here. He needs votes, man. Vote for him. If you're listening, vote for him now. You got until how long?
I do believe it's November or September, but either way, like I said, if I win, the money goes to charity, and I'm willing to wrestle whoever I get the chance to be put up against.
Awesome. We look forward to hearing the results of that as well. Austin, did you have any final questions for our buddy here?
No, just wanted to say, much respect for you and whatever some wrestler that goes out and pours their heart and soul into a match. It's
Thank you.
Just like you. So thank you so much.
I mean, even Chris Masters and a bunch of the WWE guys that have came out to our show with like Sonny and Rhino, they came out to me and they're like, "Was that you just out there?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "You should be signed. I mean, you get a bigger pop as big as us." Or bigger, and I was like, thank you. I was like, I've been taught how to work the crowd and everything. It took a long time, but
greatness, recognize greatness, man.
More action figures on the way, just to let you know. But
there you go. Where can and what was the name of the website that they can find the action figures?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but if they go to my Facebook, they can actually find it on the image, or I will actually post it up later on today.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Well, I just want to say, Bud, that on behalf of Austin, we want to thank you. Thank you so much for taking time. I remember you were telling me you were traveling, taking time out of your busy schedule from traveling to sit down and chat with us for a little bit. Kind of just
I'm actually sitting in a parking lot gas station right now because I drive down, there's no service. So
no, we definitely appreciate it, man. And like I said, you are definitely another person that Austin is taken and learned a lot from as far as your experiences, and I know that he'll definitely keep your advice in mind. And I know I appreciate you coming on and just chatting with us, shooting the shit, and just talking about your time in the business and who you've met and so forth. And it's a great time.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me. Thank you so very much.
We want to thank our callers for calling in as well. Oh, absolutely.
I was going to get to that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you for all the calls
the gun.
that came in. I do appreciate all the questions. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. There will be more stuff coming soon, bigger. So.
And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Big announcements coming soon. Let's just leave it at that.
That is awesome. We're happy for you, bud. We're rooting for you. No matter what happens, we're always going to be rooting for you, bud.
Thank you once again for having me on the show. I can't wait to come back.
All righty, man. You have yourself a safe trip. And we'll definitely look forward to having you back on sometime in the near future, okay?
Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Well,
have a good night.
Later, man.
Good night. Bye.